All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now, Dana White had a press conference after, I believe it was the Mackenzie Dern Angela Hill fight, where he spoke about quite a few things. A lot of people are doing videos on him and his response to the woman that asked him about Francis Ngannou's PFL deal. I want to talk about something else, though, because there were some choice words he had for Aljamain Sterling when asked about some comments that Aljamain Sterling had made about the fight that is supposed to take place August 18th or 19th. I can't remember the exact date, but in August against Sugar Sean O'Malley. I was going to come on here and righteously defend our brother Aljamain Sterling, but then I went and I looked at his responses, and then I went and I watched a little bit of his podcast where he responded to Dana White, and now I don't know that I can do that. I might defend him in a few areas, but I feel as though Dana White said something about him that is very true. And I want to get into that. But before we do, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, dude. I will thank you in advance because I'm Canadian, eh? To my regular fans or viewers who don't like Israel Adesanya, I apologize for these pictures. I don't like Israel Adesanya either. I think these are some of the coolest pictures in all of combat sports, though. So they're staying, okay? Now, let's get right into it. So Dana White was asked about a comment that Aljamain Sterling made in regards to whether or not he would be fighting on or in August. And the comment was something along the lines of, yeah, I want to fight, but I don't know if my body's going to be able to do that or whatever. And Dana White was slightly triggered by this. He went on a bit of a rant. He said, do you want me to explain what the fuck is going on in Aljo's head? Like, sometimes he just can't get out of his own way and blah, 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 blah. He seemed irritated by the question. And then a little later after that, somebody had asked him, it might have even been the same reporter, that Aljamain Sterling says that he wants to go up to featherweight. Now, Dana White may have misunderstood the question, and because the guy meant after the Sugar Sean fight, but then Dana said, well, Aljo's just ruining this whole fucking press conference, isn't he? Aljamain Sterling had some choice words for Dana White, and we're going to go over those. I've got screenshots of some of the quotes that I believe came from Full Mount MMA, so thank you for that. But then I went and found where I think those quotes came from, which were his podcast, and they said some more things that actually irritated me and made me less likely to seriously defend Aljo here. Because at first I was thinking, Dana, why are you like shitting on your champion like this? You know what I mean? Regardless of how difficult he may be, and you know however the fans perceive him, I feel like if Dana White were to be positive towards Aljamain Sterling, it might help a little bit. Like Dana White, it seems to be a bit of a trend where if Dana White likes somebody and he pushes them quite a bit, the fans tend to like that person also. Now maybe it's one of those things like what came first, the chicken or the egg. Maybe Dana White treats the guys publicly much better when they already have a lot of fans that love them. But I do think that I don't think that it's necessarily that. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I think activity, I think your performances, I think the fans, like all of this shit goes into whether or not Dana White enjoys doing business with you. But then there were a few other things that Aljo brought up that I want to get to in a little bit that I thought were fucking ridiculous, okay? So we're going to look at his responses to Dana White, and I'm just going to pull up the screenshots here, and then I'll move them away, and then we'll talk about some of the things I heard on that podcast. So the first one is like, quote, I'll play the character, but get me in on the joke. Not when you're going to keep doing this stuff, making me look like a bitch. Like, nah, bro, you're not going to keep doing that to me, dog. Get the fuck out of here, Dana. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, okay, dude? He kept talking about a Lambo, too, so I don't know if he's jealous that Sean O'Malley has a Lamborghini, but I don't think that Dana White gave Sean O'Malley that Lamborghini, okay? I think Sean O'Malley is very good at marketing himself on social media and has a ton of sponsors. He has a ton of other streams of revenue, and I think he was able to buy that Lamborghini all on his fucking own, whether it was from his fight purses or not. I don't think Sean O'Malley makes even close to what Aljamain Sterling makes to step in that octagon, okay? Next quote. Every time they have asked me to fight, I put my nuts on the table and I showed up. Or I showed out every single time and won. At what point do I get credit from the UFC from Uncle Dana? Okay, next quote. My thing with Dana is, damn dog, why can't you give credit where credit is due? Even if you feel I can't get out of my own way, which there's no context behind that because I've literally done everything you've asked. Next quote. Why is it so hard for Dana to go? This one pissed me off, honestly, dude. What Absolutely, the fight is done. We spoke to him. This kid's always shown up to the fights, always makes weight, always does the media stuff. We know he's going to show up. Yeah, he just fought 2 weeks ago. He's a little banged up, but he gave his word that he's going to show up for the fight. The kid's a killer. Kid's a stud. Same way he does for Connor. If Connor does something, wow, isn't he awesome? Can I be awesome too, Dana? Okay, dude. First of all, fuck. I don't know if I should read the other quote. I might read the other one, and then I'll just pull them all away, and I want to touch on that one a little bit because that one bugged me slightly. Okay, don't play with my name, bro. If we're gonna do this together, let's get on the same page and do this shit the right way. I said I'm fighting. What else do you want from me? I'm fucking fighting. Just fuck. Let's figure this shit out. Okay, I'm gonna pull away the other ones now. He was a little angry about it, and I'm gonna bring something up in a minute that I was glad he didn't give into. But hold on. This shit bugs me because he's basically like, this is like people that fucking tone police or something. He wants Dana White to treat him or speak about him publicly the same way he would speak about his number one cash cow, the guy who fought Chad Mendes with a torn ACL, the guy who fucking like the guy like Conor McGregor. That doesn't seem until obviously recently that they've had issues booking him for a fight. Like he just wanted to fucking fight, and it's just strange that he would like he writes out a whole fucking script about what he wants him to say. And also, if he did say to Dana White that he was willing to fight on that day, but then after that in the media is saying it could potentially be a fucking problem, then I would expect Dana White to be a little frustrated. Okay, I don't understand why he's so fucking mind blown by this, but we're going to talk about the things that they said on the podcast that actually bugged the shit out of me. Okay, so they brought up, first of all, so there's three guys there. I don't know if they're his training partners or what. There was an Asian guy sitting in the middle of the podcast, and they brought up Tyron Woodley. Okay, and they tried to say that this is very similar to the Tyron Woodley situation. Tyron Woodley did absolutely everything he possibly could. All this shit, and Dana White still didn't like him. And then the Chinese guy, or I don't know, some sort of Asian, my bad dude, says, what are the similarity between Aljamain Sterling and Tyron Woodley? And to be fair to Aljo, he did not fucking bite on that, but we all know what the insinuation was there, and that drives me fucking crazy because this guy right here is literally like the face of the UFC. Dana White fucking loves this guy right now more than almost any active fighter. Okay, he gets paid the high. We've been over this. He gets paid the highest salary. They put him on the big shows. He's been on fucking covers for the game. Like, Dana White is not fucking racist. Okay, this is business shit. I I fucking don't understand. Stop bringing that shit up. You guys are fucked. There are so many fucking black champions right now, and there's only one of them that is like truly not liked by most fans. Like, a lot of people don't like Israel Adesanya. There are a ton of people that fucking do. Okay, there's some people that like Aljamain Sterling. There's not a lot of them. Okay, and it's because of what Dana White said. He can't get out of his own way. Why would you go and say that you might not be able to make that date if you have already said to the UFC that you were going to make that date? And the timing matters. If he had said that to a reporter before a conversation with Dana White where he absolutely said, yes, I will fight, like, that matters, right? If Dana White has a conversation with you and then a day later it's all over social media that you're saying you might not be able to make the fight because your body might be too banged up, what the fuck is he supposed to think, hey? You know what I mean? And then they brought up something else too, and this one I thought was very strange. Aljamain Sterling was acting like contracts are not a big deal. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is he talking about? And then he literally spoke about how there's been multiple times where he didn't sign a contract until like a week or two before the date of the fight. And I thought, and you fucking wonder why Dana White is irritated with you. You're obviously difficult to do business with, okay? Because the contract does matter. If you verbally agree to a fight and they start promoting it and they spend all the money on promotion, they get the venue, they do all this shit, and you haven't signed that contract, you could just not fucking fight. Now, it definitely wouldn't go over well for your fighting career in the UFC, but that is something that you could do. At least if you have signed a contract, you are now obligated contractually right? And the UFC has protections, and so do you. This is the amount of money you're getting if you show up and fight on this day. If you're waiting until fucking fight week or like a week prior to sign that contract, there's no fucking wonder he's irritated with you. Like, honestly, man. And something else that he had said here, I think it was in that same quote. Nope, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Damn. Okay, hold on one second, my bad. It was just, man, he does need to get out of his own way. It's true, or at least I think it's true. Okay, this stuff always shows up to the fights. Okay, you're definitely fucking supposed to, eh? Always makes weight. You're definitely supposed to, especially as a champion. These are not extras that you do. This is something that every fucking fighter on the roster does, who is on a pay-per-view card or on a big fight card where they have to do the media day, the press conferences, all this shit. Everybody else does this shit, okay? Always does the media stuff. So does everybody else. So does everybody else. Why would he use this as like points in his favor? Everybody else does the same stuff. They all do it. The only difference is that they're not having fucking contract disputes up until 2 weeks before the fight or some shit. He was talking specifically about the TJ Dillashaw one, but he was like bragging about it as if it's not an issue. You fucking what the fuck, dude? Get it together. Dana White's right. He can't get out of his own way. But that being said, I feel as though Dana White should not be shitting on his champion the way that he was. I feel like I can't remember if whether or not the PFL question got asked first. That might also have something to do with it. If he had gotten fired up from answering the PFL question and then somebody asked him about Aljamain Sterling. They also keep acting like this Sean O'Malley fight and the timing of it is them trying to get rid of Aljamain Sterling. And while there might be a sliver of truth to that, right? Like there might be a sliver of truth in saying that, well, the UFC wants to give Sean O'Malley the best option or the best opportunity to do so. So we're going to try and book the fight just a few months away. Now it'll almost have been 3 months, which is not unusual for a champion. It's just not, okay? Like Israel Adesanya, love him or hate him, dude fucking fights a lot when he's champion. Alexander Volkanovski fights a lot when he's champion. Like these guys. Somebody in the comment section wrote that when Aljamain Sterling was unranked, he had the same schedule as Israel Adesanya, and I went, yeah, but the difference is that Israel Adesanya was a fucking champion, and Aljamain Sterling was trying to get the belt. Israel Adesanya continued on with his schedule after the fact, right? Every 3 months, roughly. Obviously, there's been a few lately that were a little longer than that, but regardless, Aljamain Sterling, as soon as he became champion, took fucking a ton of time off, which I get it. Okay, neck surgery, fine, but fucking Christ, man. You can't compare his schedule to Israel Adesanya's when one of them's a champion, which is one of the most important like things in the UFC. They need champions to fill their pay-per-views, and then you're on here fighting on prelims every 3 months. But as soon as you get to the position where you could make the fucking money, where you're on a pay-per-view, you go, no, I'm gonna take a fucking year off or whatever. Like, buddy, and it's got nothing to do with skin color. It's got everything to do with whether or not you fight, whether or not you can sell, and whether or not you can fucking not be difficult to deal with, okay? And something else, too. Everybody keeps framing the Sean O'Malley timing as one way. Dana White is not stupid, and he knows that Sean O'Malley is not, like, that Aljamain Sterling is a bad matchup for Sean O'Malley. So while there is a chance that Sean O'Malley could win, the likelihood of that happening is much lower than Aljamain Sterling taking his back and strangling him, or at least just controlling his back for 4 minutes, attempting to bum his opponents, okay? Dana White is not gonna fucking put all his chips on one guy, and if that guy loses, now his business is fucked. Bantamweight to the hardcore fans is one of the best, in my opinion, the best division in the entire UFC. There is not a division that I would rather watch more. It is very deep, very high level guys. 15 could beat 1 on any given day. It is fucking incredible. To the casual fan base, I don't think that that's the case. I think they're stuck in their ways of the heavier guys and maybe lightweight, right? Because bantamweight dudes on average are a lot smaller, and I don't know why, but people don't like to watch small guys. I feel like this is why Mighty Mouse got fucked over his entire career. He's not putting all his chips on Sean O'Malley. There's a plan B, or maybe even the plan A, okay? If Aljamain Sterling goes and turns around and submits Sean O'Malley the way that a lot of people think he's going to, just a few, like 2.5 months or whatever it may be, 3 months after he defends his belt against Henry Cejudo, who, by the way, looked much more beat up visibly than Aljamain Sterling did, and was the one who called Dana White to let him know about the statements that Aljamain had made and said that he would fight in August. So this is another reason why it makes you look bad. If you've got all these guys who are willing to fight that quickly after, and you're the only one being like, fuck, I don't know, dude, I don't know, my body's going to hold up, Dana's obviously going to be annoyed by you. Dana White could be trying to build your career. I don't think he cares that much about Sean O'Malley. I think he cares about how much money his divisions make, okay? And if you go out there and you, the same way we see this with fucking Dustin Poirier, for example, after he knocks out Conor McGregor, becomes a massively bigger star. This happens all the time. Guys take other guys' star power. That's why they were trying to give Nate Diaz to Khamzat Chimaev, right? That's why, like, this shit happens all the time. If you fight a guy with a big name, like whoever the fuck beats Bo Nickel first is going to get a huge bump in popularity, okay? And Wild Cheeto had already beat Sean O'Malley. It was a weird, you know what I mean, like the leg shit was unfortunate and whatever. And then Sean O'Malley's looked good since then. He's a big name. He's got tons of followers. He's super famous. If Aljamain Sterling goes out there and fucks him up, well, guess what? He's gonna be way more popular, especially if he plays his cards right on the mic, which he doesn't seem to be very fucking good at. But this is not like the UFC's not just gonna fucking put all their chips on one guy. They're gonna hedge their bets. And if they know that the likelihood is that you beat him because you're a way stronger grappler and all this shit, right? They may want Sean O'Malley to win, which is, I mean, you can't take bias out of anybody. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that he's like the head of the company and the one making the decisions, but it's not a bias because he likes Sean O'Malley more. It's a bias because Sean O'Malley objectively would bring in more revenue than a guy like Aljamain Sterling. But you can change that, motherfucker. You know what I mean? You can change that. You could go fuck up Sean O'Malley, and now you're a star. Or at the very least, you maybe get liked a bit more because there's a ton of people that fucking hate Sean O'Malley. Okay? I don't get why it only gets framed as they're trying to fuck over Aljo. And it's not even that insane of a turnaround. Islam Makhachev, who is a pretty fucking unactive champion, now, if you look at the entire time that he's been champion, but he turned around after beating Charles Oliveira to fight Alexander Volkanovski. I think the difference would be 6 days or something like that, compared to when Aljo would turn around now and face Sean O'Malley after Henry Cejudo. So, fuck, man. I wanted to defend Aljamain Sterling, but I think that what Dana said is... Now, maybe he could have said it in a nicer way. Yeah, he can't get out of his own way. He can't. It's true. Why are you constantly bitching about shit, dude? Stop with the victim mentality. Like, fucking Christ. And then he tried to say at the press conference that he was playing the part of the heel, or he's playing the part that he thinks Dana White wants him to play. And then he was also being himself. But that wasn't what was happening. He was trying to get the crowd on his side. They didn't want him. And he was very close to his hometown. Okay? These guys need to figure this shit out. If you want to make, like, fuck, man. I think he just wants to be liked, but doing shit like this ain't gonna help you. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. And then after saying, well, your body might be too banged up to fight in August, you go and say you can fight in July. I mean, fuck, dude. I would imagine he's not the easiest to deal with in terms of negotiations, in terms of contracts, and in any of this shit. And I think that Dana White wants him to do something that can kind of bring the fans back a little bit, because I think a lot of people are still irritated, one, by the way he won the title, two, by the way he defended the title. A lot of people think he lost that fight. And then, I don't know, man. It's just fucking... I wanted to defend him. I was going to, because I always shit on Aljo, and I thought, fuck me, Dana. Why are you being such a dick? Like, why are you doing this? Because if you were nicer and had good things to say about him, I think fans, or at least some fans, might follow suit. But instead of doing that, he just totally shits on the guy. But then I go and I listen to Aljamain, and I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder. Guy's not signing contracts until a couple weeks before the fight. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's strange, man. It's very strange. And the UFC's trying to build up that division to be like a marquee division. They've got so much talent there. There's not a whole lot of big names. So it's either Sean O'Malley becomes champion, and now it does have a big name, or somebody fucks up Sean O'Malley and they become a superstar. Even Khabib, after he beat Conor, became a way bigger star than he was. Like, this happens all the time. Do you think the UFC was completely and totally fucking bummed out that Conor didn't beat Khabib? I mean, they might have rathered that. Because, one, his fight style, that's another thing, Aljamain Sterling. You cannot compare yourself to guys like that. You're not going out there and starching dudes in 13 seconds in a title fight. You went out there and won your title by an illegal knee, DQ, that you abso-fucking-lutely played up. You know what I mean? Israel Adesanya, even, I don't like him, dude. The way he won his interim title was in one of the best fights in middleweight history. The way he won his undisputed title was a fucking second round knockout of the champion who had just beaten Yoel Romero twice, had knocked out Derek Brunson, had knocked out Jacare Souza, was on an absolute fucking tear. You know what I mean? You got it, and then Izzy had some stinkers in between. You got to earn those stinkers, though. You know what I mean? Because at that point, by the time he started having stinkers, he had had a lot of good performances up to where they could use clips, highlights, shit like this. And yeah, look at what he's done in the past. Maybe he'll do this now. Whereas with Aljo, it's like, yeah, look what he's done in the past. He's trying to fucking give his opponents a good bumming. We're going to see this over and over and over and over again. And he's not going to sign contracts till 2 weeks out. And he's going to say that he might not be able to make it because he's going to be injured. And then he's going to say he wants to go up to 145 when you don't have a big enough name, with all due respect, to make a double champion fight like that. Okay. Either way, dude, these are my thoughts on this. I probably rambled a little bit longer than I needed to, but Jesus fuck. He's driving me nuts with this shit, man. And I was going to defend him, but he makes it very hard not to. I will give him credit for this, though. That guy trying to bring up the race shit, that drove me crazy, and I assumed we were about to get into that because Aljamain Sterling had made some statements in the summer of 2020 where he was talking about BLM and all this shit, so I thought, oh, here we fucking go. But if you look at some of the most famous, like Jamal Hill doesn't get the same kind of shit that Aljo gets, and Jamal Hill is like unironically using like fucking black excellence fucking hashtags. Imagine if a white fighter had done that, okay? And he's still not getting hate on the same way. He's, you know what I mean? John Jones, one of the biggest pieces of shit of all time. Literally. Objectively, a way worse person than Aljamain Sterling. Even he's got way more fans than Aljo, which is fucked, but it's because of performances in the fucking cage. Okay? So, Aljo, stop complaining. Stop with the victim mentality. Go out there and do your fucking thing. Take Sean O'Malley's back. Give him a good bumming. Slip your fucking neck under his arm. Or, I mean, your arm under his neck, my bad. And strangle him. Pop his little fucking lollipop head off. And you will be infinitely more famous, infinitely more marketable. And you'll be able to stop bitching about shit, okay? That's the end of this video. Like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Bye-bye.